Hello again, and welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Rural Report. I am your Rural 2IC, and I want to do a little bit of, I guess, a different video. I know I've been saying out a lot lately, haven't I? All right, so what was it? Maybe almost a week ago, as of the time of putting this video out, we had that cell phone disruption. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it was basically, I think it was Verizon, AT&T, and some, I think it was U.S. Cellular that had some major disruptions. Now, there's been a bunch of cyber things going on. This is not the first time that we've had different things that were cellular related. We had the small, was it like hour or two window where social media went down for a little bit, and it really brings things up. So I want to take and I want to put up a map right here. Okay, so in this map, I want you to not only look at the spots that are glowing red, if you will, but look where you are in relation to them. How close are you to one of those spots? These spots were the ones that were affected for the cell phone outage event. Were you affected? If you weren't, maybe you're on another carrier, another provider. But how close were you? Are you in one of them zones? Are you near them? If you're not, was somebody that you know, love, and care about, are they in that spot or near it? All right, so bring that back down. Now, I want to know, do you document this stuff when something like this happens that is a pretty big event, either regionally or nationwide? Do you document this at all? Do you sit there and go, wow, even though I'm over here on the West Coast in Nevada or something like that, the Eastern Seaboard had this really bad cyber attack? Do you document it to where you go, all right, well, if a cyber attack happened on the West Coast where I am, then what would I do about it? What are some of the things? Recently, London got hit with their cyber attack, and they even admitted it, which is kind of what was the interesting part, but it affected their hospital systems. What would you do if your local area had a cyber attack where the hospitals went down? You're talking about the trauma wards and all sorts of things to where you couldn't do a lot of the medical things. I believe in the London, it was the majority of it was for the blood bank, and so you're talking about any sort of surgery, whether it was routine or anything that was life threatening or whatnot. Think about it, if you or one of your family, friends, somebody you care about, some accident happens, some automobile accident, some accident at work, some sort of something at home, and they were currently in an ambulance being rushed, to go get saved, to go get rescued. And on that trip to the hospital, all of a sudden a cyber attack happened. And when they get there, what is it? There's a lot that comes into play in this. And one of the things before I get into the actual point of this video is there's a lot of things that you have to, you're kind of forced into faith, into a level of trust. And then there's things that you take for granted. And then there's things that you shouldn't. So kind of that take for granted, but you shouldn't have to. Now, some of the things on that last part where people will go and get a false sense of security. Well, the hospital system's always there. So if something happens, I can get there. My cell phone will work. And so all I got to do is press a couple of buttons, help's on the way. Whether that's medical, whether that's protection, whether that's fire, whatever it is, I can just hit a few things, boom, I got help, okay? And we take a lot of that for granted. Now, some of us that live rurally, we don't. If somebody makes the mistake of trying to kick my front door in, if I call for help, it's not going to be a few minutes. I would be lucky if somebody got here within 25 minutes, for any sort of help or anything like that. And so you really are, you're kind of on your own. So some of us have already thought about this. You are your own first responder, whether that's police, fire, or whatever. And so there's a lot that people take for granted, and it's a false sense of security. People get into their car without doing a visual check, walking around, making sure that nobody's in there, that there's not a puddle underneath of it, that the tires are inflated, all the different things like that. Just pop in and go. You don't even give it a second thought. Now, it does bring into the one where there's a lot of trust in there. So, how many people, if anybody that's watching this, how many of you ever hailed a cab, got onto a public bus, took an airplane, got onto an amusement park or a carnival ride? You don't know the operators. You've never met them before, but you put a lot of faith into them. And even if you haven't, I'm sure you know somebody, friends, family, relatives, grandkids, that they've went in there and they popped on that carnival ride, and everything was fun, and they popped off, and there you go. There wasn't even a single second thought of it. Everything should be safe, right? I don't have to think about that. And it brings it into the consideration. Now, it's not a thing to start questioning everything and living in a state of panic. No. But we should give things more of a due thought process as we go about our day to day lives. The more that you have in control, the better. Now, I'm not saying don't go to the amusement park and things like that. I love carnival and amusement park rides, so it's not going to stop me. But it does give me the thing that if I go there and it has a bad rap sheet. Maybe the thing's constantly breaking down. Maybe they have bad reviews where this is not uncommon that they have, accidents on the rides. There's preparations that you can do and homework to give yourself the best possible outcome, But here's the thing: if you put up with risk, then you are kind of accepting that there is risk and that something bad could happen. But we do that every day anyway. The second that you open your eyes in the morning, there's a risk. When you step in the shower, there's a risk. When you walk out the front door, get into a car, do anything, there's a risk to it. But it comes into the thing too on the second part of this, on being able to have that faith in something and you can't test it. These are things like your airbag in your car, things like a fire extinguisher, different items like that. Once you test it, that's done. It's a one and done item. You can't, okay, I'm just going to put the airbag all tucked back in there and now I know it works. No. Okay. And we've talked about this. Anything man made can and will go bad at some point in time, which brings it to they could have 5 million of the same exact airbag in 5 million vehicles. That one that doesn't work, that has that manufacturer defect that made it through the entire assembly process, that made it through all the quality checks and everything else, ended up in the vehicle that you are now behind. And because somebody that you have never met decided to take their eyes off the road for half a second and collides with you, then you get to suddenly find out if you have that bad airbag or not. So, as much as you possibly can, if you have the ability to take some sort of object, thing, device, gear, gadget, whatever, if it's testable, it needs tested. Pull it out, make sure it works, make sure all the functionality and everything does what it's supposed to do. Make sure you're familiar with it. Do you know how to use it? Do you know how to repair it? Do you know, the ins and outs of it? I'm not saying become an expert on everything that you own, but you should have some sort of working familiarity with it. Now, let me go back. Let me pull it back just for a sec. So we started out with the map, and I asked how many people document it. And so, one of the things that I want to propose is we'll probably do it, let's say, on Sundays. And I'll maybe give it a week or two to see if it catches on. But what I want to do is for all of you, all of the subscribers to this channel, when something happens around you or you see something that's not getting the exposure or some event happens and you want it to be uh, uh, networked out so people are made aware of it, I want you to email me. Okay, the email is always at the beginning. It is the rural report at protonmail.com. Yes, I know I've had some problems with it, but I've since got it fixed. But email me the story, whether it be a link, whether it be an article, a video, whatever. Email me an actual credible source, okay? And we'll try and do this as a segment for Sundays that I'll go through and collect everybody through the week, and I will put it all together, and we will have our own networking uh, sort of ability to share out different news events that you probably would never, have ever heard of. You're helping each other. We're from all over the place. We have members that don't even live in the United States. And so you get maybe can get some of the news from them on what's going on. And vice versa. They live outside the United States. They don't know what's going on in Kansas, unless you live in Kansas or somewhere around there and you have that. You got it from a local news source, but it's not going to hit nationwide. And we all know one person's little tiny event, their decision, one little thing can send a cascade of bad events all over the place. Okay. I mean, as an example, we've all heard about the shot heard around the world. One guy in the entire population of the planet pulled a trigger. That's it. And then look where it all happened now. Think about just what if they didn't do that. Think about if that trigger was never pulled. We can go into the argument and the debates on it was going to happen anyway, or it may never have happened, or this, that, blah, blah, blah. It all goes down to one single event. Okay. And even if you want to go all the way back to like the Boston Tea Party, and then there was a couple of guys, okay, but one guy had the idea. And from that idea hatched into action, and one action led across to a couple of people into their actions, and there you go. It sparked something else. So let's spark a movement. Let's go through and let's network. And it can be any sort of anything. I'll try and use the best discernment possible. So if you do send me something and I do not put it in there, don't take offense of it, please. Okay. Sometimes we're going to get inundated and have a ton of things, and we only have so much time. Sometimes we may only get one or two things. Sometimes I may get busy and I might not be able to put one out that week. So just bear with me through all this, especially as we're kind of getting everything started, and we'll see how it all goes. And don't be afraid to put personal things in there too. So if you have something that's personal, you have some success story, some failure, some sort of anything, this is going to be our kind of message board to network with each other and let everybody know what's going on. So I've rambled long enough. I hope that you guys got some sort of value out of it. I hope you go through and participate in this. When we do a segment like this or a series, it's all going to be dependent on you. Okay. I'm just going to kind of read through it and be the person behind the camera that's just going to be the one sharing and talking about it, but it's going to come from you. So, with that, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you have a blessed day. Stay tuned because there's definitely more information to come, and we're going to find out because it's going to come from you. So, with that, I want to tell you to remember to remain united because we're all prepping in this together.